Margaret, and I have a stack of things to show you. But first I want you to see I'm wearing the sweater that Erin had made me. And you know what, Erin, I do not know, look at that pretty cabling. I do not know the name of this pattern, so I can't share that information with the people, so I should have asked you before I started recording. But it's cold outside, hence the nice warm sweater. It's like 34 degrees last time I checked, and it's currently 11:53 on Monday, which was really strange because yesterday we had 67 degrees, which this cold front caused this massive thunderstorm, and we have some trees, some branches down in the yard, but that's all. We didn't have too much trouble from that. But anyway, what do I have to talk about today? First of all, let's rewind to last week. And I told you that I had these leftover bits of yarn that were pretty colors, and I really liked them. And I started crocheting this nice big bulky hat. This is a bulky yarn. It's a Bernat Softy Chunky, which is one of the ones I got on massive sale last year. I think it's a discontinued color. I don't know. It's pumpkin, but it was on clearance at Joann's, so I grabbed that up for a great price. But I loved this chunky crochet look, and I like it just as it is, and I just didn't want to put the pom-pom on top of it as we had talked about. Would it go? Yes, it would go, but I just had something else in mind, which was this. Da-da-da. This goes with my goal of practicing my color work. So it's just a basic knitted hat with a 1x1 ribbing down at the bottom, and then I did every other stitch with that colored yarn. Then I put the pom-pom on top, and I liked it better. So yeah, this was a success. I really like this hat, and I may even keep it for myself. I don't know. I'll have to see how the chunky softy feels against my head. And then also, let's rewind to last week. I had been doing a lot of cleaning and organizing, and I mentioned that I had these, I saved even the littlest bits of yarn that I can use in different ways. While cleaning out all this commotion in the cabinet, I found this partially done hat. And I remember that it was supposed to be the base for one of the horse hats, and they're really precious. You can look back, I've done several videos where I had done a whole lot of these hats. This did not fit the person that I was doing this for, so I just put it aside and was going to come back to it and completely forgot about it. I don't have any more to make the snout because I forgot about it, so I will probably just trim this up. Claire, Bob Wilson 123, taught about how you can do a chain stitch across here to make stripes, and the perfect thing to use are little scraps. So I'll probably do something like that with this hat, and we'll see how it comes out. And here's an example of what I did with that hat. Now, hindsight being 2020, I was liking these colors together at the time, but now I think I should have done more neutral, warmer tones with it, with this brown. But you get the idea. This was all scrap yarn. You make a chain around the edge, and I'm going to put a link to Claire, Bob Wilson 123's Skinny Stripes Beanie, where she teaches how to do, it's basically a slip stitch. Did I just spit all over you with that? It's basically a slip stitch, just done all the way around. And I have different colors here. I mean, this is a different green, different blues, different yellows, but it works. You know, it kind of just gradually changes into the lighter shades. So, but I love the little stripes on here. I, again, would probably have preferred a different set of colors with this tan, but for some reason, this is what appealed to me at the moment. And while we're still on the subject of last week, I talked about these Addy hats that I did with DK weight. Upon further investigation, I think this is actually more of a sport weight yarn. It's a little bit lighter than DK, but regardless, I love the look that it gets. And I'm quite fond of this green and yellow together. These are those reversible cuffed beanies that I've done a tutorial, an Addy tutorial on how to do these. They're very simple. Basically, it's just one long tube, two colors. I think 24 inches was the measurement that I used. And you gather the two ends and then you sew it shut. Of course, you can't put a pom on the top if you're a pom-pom fan, which I am, because then it couldn't be reversible, right? So these are easy to be done in any yarn medium. Like I said, this was done on the AliExpress, but you could certainly loom knit or hand knit or crochet a big long tube in the same fashion to get the same deal. But I'll be doing a lot of these hats because I think they're so practical, and the double thickness is good by itself, but especially good down here when you fold it up on your ears. So that was just one more of these I'm adding to the collection. You're probably going to be seeing more of these, so we'll whiz past them in future videos. Now, another one of my yarn goals for 2015 was to use some of my already purchased patterns. That might be individual patterns that I bought from Ravelry or something. Could be gifts that someone else purchased for me. Could be something from magazines or books that I already own. So I went upstairs and was looking through some of the things that I had, and I, as I tend to do, got distracted. I got distracted by some of my favorite patterns from the past, like this one. This is the Riptide Beanie that was Melodora. It's from Melodora Creations, and she has, I think she has a video tutorial on this. I'm not sure. I'll look it up, and if there is one, I'll put the link in the description box. But regardless, I'll put the pattern link in there so you can find it. This is the simplest pattern, and to me it's different and really effective. It's also pretty stretchy with this, I think it's only back post. Yeah, you do a back post and you do a regular row of double crochet, and you get this neat ribbing look, which is really neat. Now, the problem that I had with this hat in the past was that the seam in the back was always rough. I should probably look for one of those old videos and insert here, but regardless, I didn't like it. So this time I tried doing it spiral to see what would happen, but the nature of it, you're still going to get a seam. But this seam, believe it or not, is much neater. It's not a seam. It's not a seam at all, actually. It's just where you have to switch from the back post double crochet row to the regular crochet row. So you're just going to get some kind of commotion on the back because of the nature of this pattern. But I like this better, actually, because it just looks like a stair-step situation instead of a, kind of look like a train wreck, at least the way I did it. I'm not going to blame her pattern because I did this back when I was still a newbie at crochet. But it is a good early pattern. Don't let it, don't shy away from it. And you can experiment with the ways to join in the back. But I think it's effective for the most part. It's good looking. So, while I was in there looking at favorite patterns, this is my old standby. This is called the Better Late Than Never Beanie. And keep in mind that I'm using all open skeins, all scraps and everything, and all of this that I've shown you. And that's what this is too. This was an open skein of Deborah Norville Everyday, the brown was. And this is Red Heart Boutique Unforgettable. And I love the way the color changes were very gradual. You can see up here it's very bright, and then it comes down like that, which I thought was really cool looking. Now back to a seam discussion. This is the seam back here, because in stripes you do need to join. Now, The regular way of changing colors is to finish the very last stitch of the last row with the new color. And that's what this is here, but it's a very visible seam. And what's good about this is you don't have as many ends to sew in. You just kind of carry it. You see how it goes up? You're just kind of carrying it up to the next row, which is great. But then again, you get kind of a noticeable, even though you pull it up like that, I see it. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what, but I watch video after video and it appears I'm doing it right. So maybe I don't know. But I did another one. Have you noticed when you hold things up on the camera, it's much more noticeable than in person? I did another one, and this is my seam. You can see it here. And what I did, this was row by row. I would finish it off and then add the new color. So therefore I had lots of ends to sew in on the inside. But I don't mind it because I really like this look better. So this is the Better Late Than Never beanie. It's one of my standbys. I do it a lot. It's basically double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. And I just think it adds a lot. But I truly liked it with this variegated or this gradual change yarn. I thought that came out really well. And another thing I want to say, the more I use this Deborah Norville every day, the more I'm in love with it for an acrylic. It is very soft, and I am going to try this hat myself and see if I get the same itchy feeling that I get when I wear Vanna's Choice, or to be honest, I don't think I wear any Red Heart, but I'm trying to think if I have or not. I don't know. But Dominic Overall had made me a wonderful scarf. Probably should have gotten that. Anyway, it's soft, and I don't know what kind of yarn you use, Dominic, but that scarf is really soft, and I can wear it. So I'm not blaming all acrylic. And I think that's acrylic. It may not, that Dominic made me. I'm blaming certain acrylics because this Deborah Norville Soft is really turning out to be one of my new favorites the more I use it. So, just a heads up if you want to look for that. On to works in progress. This is the easy scarf that Diane Farmwife 99 gifted me. And I know you're not going to be able to tell how many rows I've completed on this since last time, so I'll insert a picture so we can compare. But I did spend a lot of time with this scarf this week, and I am getting it down. As a matter of fact, I've been practicing my technique. I have a sort of, I have a very odd crochet technique, the way I hold my yarn. And so when I was trying to learn to knit, I found it very awkward to do it the proper way with your index finger, holding the yarn. And so I can do it because when I do ribbing, I have to purl with this index finger. And so while it was still on there, I would do the next 2 knit stitches or however many the ribbing called for and do like that. But then when it came to all knit, I would switch to holding the yarn over my middle finger. And it was more comfortable that way. I don't know. It comes from the way that I crochet. However, I got this Craftsy class that was talking about techniques, specifically continental, which is the way I knit. And I really wanted to learn more about it. And so she was showing you more of the proper way, if you can call it a proper way, I don't know, to hold it for more efficiency. In other words, the least amount of movement it takes you to make a stitch, then technically the faster that you'll be. And so I was looking at the way she did it, so I have been practicing that technique while I do this, and I'm getting better and better. As a matter of fact, when I went to knit something else, I found it a little awkward to do it in my Margaret way, the way I had invented on my own. And the thing about knitting is, it's a very awkward process trying to get those two sticks to do what you want to while you hold everything in place and then have to scooch, because it gets all wound up. And your poor little fingers just have to get the hang of it. Erin used the term muscle memory, and that's essentially what it is. You don't even have to think about that once you've got it down. So now that I have got it down, the basic stitches, I can refine a little bit better. I showed you last week that I was using this Caron Simply Soft, and I had bought this companion yarn to go with it, and I was doing a zigzag Fair Isle pattern, and I didn't like it because it has the actual teal color that's in here. So if you got down to a point, it looked like you missed a stitch. So this is what I was thinking about. I had this, another free pattern, Fair Isle Hat by Janelle Masters. And do you see how she used a slow changing, color changing yarn for the second color? That's what I was thinking about. That was the thought process behind using this yarn. But it's not a slow color yarn. I knew that, but it didn't occur to me that that would be important. So I ripped out that other one that I did, and I started trying to do this one. And I'm still having the same problem. You can't see the pattern that it's making. However, I had a hard time getting this one started for whatever reason. It's a long story, and it started bugging me, and I ripped it out, did it again, and then I get to this point, and it's like, this is not coming out as I had hoped, but I'm not going to rip it out. It's still, the colors are pretty together, and what it looks like is sort of one big giant variegated yarn that I'm using, and that's fine. The goal is for me to practice my color work technique, which was one of my goals. And it's going to be a pretty hat when it finishes. You just won't be able to see the pattern. So live and learn. But anyway, back to the knitting technique that I was talking about. I knit continental, and when I do my color work, I put both strands over the same finger, my left hand. And that's fine, it gets the job done, but you don't have as much control as the people who can do their color work with two hands. You put one color in one hand, one color in the other hand, and you can go to town like that. This way, for instance, if I have to do 4 stitches of one color, and I have it draped over my hand, like both of them draped over my hand like this, well then you're going to have this big slack come up in your second color. So you have to let go and you have to redo it again, and it's just bothersome. So I've been trying to do the one hand in each color method. And that is pretty much the same thing. In this hand, you do it in this hand. Problem is, I can only hold it with my right hand, and I feel like a beginner knitter again. I can only hold it in my left hand, and I feel like a beginner knitter again when I hold the yarn in my right hand. I'm awkward. I can't get it to stay. I can't get my tension right. So every few stitches, I'll give it a go. I just can't get the hang of it, and it brought back those horrible memories when I thought I was totally inept at knitting and that there was no way I'd ever be able to do it. And I feel now that I know it's possible. I just have to stick with it. So causing a little frustration there, but still something that I think would benefit my color work if I could build that skill. So if you'll remember, I said I was going upstairs to look through my paid patterns so that I could do that part of my goal, and so far the only thing I've told you about are free patterns. So I did run across this. This is by Play and Hooky Designs, and it's called the original Ridgeline Beanie, And it gives you, let's see if you can see that orange one a little bit better. This is a paid pattern. And she does a great job writing the pattern. But they are difficult patterns. I tried it early on when I first bought it, and it was a disaster. And I'm coming out, this is what I've got going on, wait, that's the wrong side. This is what I've got going on so far. And so it's getting there. I'm not sure if I know I haven't done it exactly right. I fudged a few things here and there. But I'm going to keep with it and see what I get, because it is a good looking hat. And I'm also using scraps here, and I think I'm going to have to add in some stripes, which she gives gives you instructions on how to add a second color. And here she does it just on the end, if you can see that, which is nice. But that's a crochet pattern that I'm enjoying working on right now too. So I have 3 works in progress. Is that right? Yeah. So that's all I have for this week, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Leave me some comments. Love that interaction. Talk to you later. Bye.